Alright, so guys, welcome back to another video, and I'll be honest with you, this one is a bit of a late one because this has been out for a very short while now, and I'm sure most of you have seen the reveal now as well. But one thing I wanted to go through with you guys with this trailer is a trailer breakdown. The reason why I wanted to do a trailer breakdown is because Orin and the lore of the Nine it's honestly been something that I've read up on and studied for literal years with this game, and I just want to give you my take my opinion on this trailer and go through some bits and pieces that you may have missed. Obviously, there are so many other trailer breakdowns on YouTube right now of this exact trailer. However, I feel like I'll have a slightly different take towards it because there is some information in here that other people might not know, and I thought I'd record this video and go through that with you now. So we'll start from the very beginning. I've muted the trailer here. If you want to see my actual reaction to the trailer, that is, in fact, that's not on YouTube at all. Actually, yeah, it is on YouTube. It's on my live stream. I'll put a link to that in the comment section. Anyway, so we now know that this area is Kepler. I really like this location. Oh, obviously I will pause it there. I really like this location. I think it does look aesthetically pleasing. It is really cool. The emissary looks ever so slightly different now. I know obviously this is a CGI trailer. I obviously know that this isn't in-game. But yeah, the actual facial model and the facial structure is definitely different to what we're used to seeing in-game, which is fine. It's whatever. Of course, that's, subject to change. This, by the way, I thought was sick. I wish there was some form of like cutscene or short cinematic moment, or even just like some in-game cutscene loading screen moment where we could see our ships properly taken off, because there have been so many times when in cinematic trailers with our ships that just doesn't exist in the game. Like even in this trailer, I can't remember which one, it was the final shape trailer when we were slowly getting gradually towards the portal. You can see your guardian inside the ship like slowly increase the thrusters actually from the ship, and I think that's so sick. And you see it again in this cinematic trailer as well. But just seeing like what looks to be the landing gear, but it's also got weapons on the bottom as well. You see the thrusters open up there, which looks absolutely sick. And I just love that little attention to detail, and just being able to launch yourself from outside the tower like that. Oh, why can't we have that in game? I'm not asking for ship gameplay, which by the way would be absolutely incredible, but I just know it's just a pipe dream and it will never happen. But even just like a little animation of when you leave the tower, you can just see your ship fly off into the distance. It reminds me of the Destiny 1 beta. If you guys haven't seen the live event for the Destiny 1 beta, where they actually show off Destiny for the very first time, when your fire team member joins you in your fire team and you look up into the sky, you literally see their ship fly past you over your head, and then the guardian just transmats below into your fire team with you, which is a detail I wish that stayed into the game, because that was honestly so sick. Moving on from here, yeah, this is it. So you see the landing gear or the guns or whatever like slowly lift up below the actual ship there, which again is so cool. I would love to have ship gameplay, because right now you're spending real money on an exotic ship, which is essentially just a glorified loading screen. And with the new UI update that we're getting to Destiny, where they're like removing the tabs and you're going to be accessing locations in slightly different ways, what use does your ship and like hovering in the background, what use does that have now? You know what I mean? Moving on, obviously we have you shooting off to orbit there. Again, really cool. There's another bit coming up which I just love so much, and that is this part here. This makes me so happy to see, because it just goes to show that they really have not changed. They haven't forgotten about the pyramid ship. They haven't forgotten about the veil, the final shape opening up itself on the Traveler there, which is so cool. You can see the kind of aftermath of where the Traveler shot the beam at the pyramid ship. By the way, if you guys haven't noticed, this pyramid ship for this cinematic specifically is a different model. This is not the pyramid ship that we had in the cinematic for Lightfall, and it's also not the same one that you can see in the distance from the Root of Nightmares raid. It's actually an entirely different model pyramid ship specifically for this cinematic, which I noticed. But yeah, I love that. I love the pyramid ships. I love the darkness. I'm all about that. So seeing that again was just 10 out of 10 for me. I'm glad they kept that little detail in there. Anyway, so we're shooting off into the distance. Again, it goes back to the emissary floating off into the distance here. I spoke about that gravitational stuff in my last video or live stream. We can see them going past the planets again. We've seen this before. We know all about this because we saw the very short cinematic. Zooming out here, and it's just about to go into a section of the cinematic here, which is a little bit of a nod to actually what's going on. This is what I mean. I wish we could actually see our guardian in the cockpit of our ships, and what I'm saying is such an impossible thing, Because as much as I would absolutely love for this to actually be a thing, they would basically have to model this into every single ship in the game, which just is not feasible. So I obviously understand it from that point of view, but it would be just such a cool thing to have in the game that is Destiny 2. Anyway, moving on from this, there's the emissary again. Now, pay attention to her eyes here. You see that little flicker there? That is Orin slowly starting to kind of break herself free here, which we'll find out even more in just a moment. Obviously, I've got no audio playing in the background because I wanted to talk over it. But this is the part. So Orin's like waking up from this shell where she's like, no, you can do that, but I don't want to be a part of that. And in a second now, you'll see her kind of hatching from herself like she's coming out of some egg or something. It was such a sick part. When we saw this part happen, it was like, whoa, what is going on? Look at her. She's like hatching from the shell that is the emissary that she's kind of stuck or trapped in. Okay, so she's broken out of this now, and this is the bit that I wanted to talk about, because who is this person? Well, this is Orin, and you guys probably have heard that name before, especially now that this cinematic has come out. You guys probably know exactly who this is, because people have probably spoken about it. However, this isn't just Orin. Orin is part of the Queen's Guard. She's very, very good friends with Mara Sov. She was there for the Battle of Twilight Gap as well. She wasn't in the specific battle where you had Anna Bray and Lord Shax and a few others like Felwinter. She was actually off to the side with the other Queen's Guard. She was very, very close to Mara Sov. She has the light. She is a Titan class, and I've always said if I wasn't a Warlock main, I probably would go to Titans, because Titans are actually really, really freaking cool. But yeah, this is Orin. One thing I'll also mention, guys, is you know how everyone in this game that's a Guardian kind of has like a signature subclass. So for example, you've got Ikora, which primarily means Void. You've got Zavala. When he was a Guardian, he always used Bubble, which you saw at the beginning of the Red War campaign. Same with actually, what's his name? Saint 14. Saint 14 is also kind of a Void main as well. He actually uses Dawnblade to shield himself from the Vex that infiltrate him during the Season of Dawn. And actually, very quickly, the lore of Saint 14, when he actually took on an entire Vex army by himself, he literally threw a Sentinel shield into an entire group of Vex. And this is actually something that Titans cannot do currently in the game, but he threw multiple shields at the exact same time. I'm not talking just like back-to-back shields. Like, he threw one singular shield into an army of Vex, and it multiplied into multiple shields. That is one thing that Saint 14 is, so far as I'm aware, is the only Titan that was able to do that. But anyway, we have a lot of Void mains at the moment in the lore when it comes to Titans. I really want to see if they change that up here with Orin. But Orin is a very, very loyal Guardian for Mara Sov. And she went on an adventure, kind of like a search witch hunt for the Nine right after the Red War. And the whole reason why she did that is because when part of the 4, not the 5, part of the 4, opened up kind of like the floodgates, as per se, turned off the satellites in the Red War campaign to allow Gull and the Red Legion to come on through and basically chain the Traveler and prevent us from getting our light from the Ghost. The 4 is what did that. And when that happened, when our Guardians actually lost the light, Orin set herself out on a personal mission, which, by the way, was approved by Mara Sov. This was all approved by Mara Sov at the time. She was set out on a mission to hunt down the Nine, literally find out like who they are, where are they from, why did they do this. Mara Sov has actually got a connection to the Nine as well. I'm not going to go too deep into that lore, but way back when Mara Sov actually was born as an Awoken with Uldren Sov, she had a little bit of an interaction with the Nine back then as well, but you can go read up on about that because I could talk for hours about that. But anyway, it was a approved mission by Mara Sov. Orin then went out and actually made contact with the Nine, which is actually how the birth of the emissary happened. Now, I am jumping over quite a lot of lore here when it comes to Orin, because you had a whole interaction and a whole setup with the Drifter as well. But again, you could go watch a separate video for that. I know that Myling Games, when he used to play Destiny, has a video on it, and I know that obviously Bive has a really great video on it as well. But Season of the Drifter was such a pinnacle part of the Nine story, and they mention a lot of conversations that the Drifter and Orin actually have, and they actually kind of hollow project it in front of you as well, and you're able to listen to those conversations that happened. But yeah, so she set off to hunt down the nine, and she actually found them. And rather than obviously succeeding with her mission on finding this paracausal dark matter entity that is the nine, they actually trapped her and kind of put her into this cage of being this emissary, the emissary that we know and love so much. And why did they do that? Why did they trap a guardian in this cage, in this new body of the emissary? Well, the answer is very clear, and the answer is very simple. Because the nine want to know all about you as the guardian. They want to test us. That's why whenever something new comes to the game that is based off of the nine, it's always the emissary that's bringing that to us, because she is basically the messenger, the invitation that invites us to do these things, which dating all the way back to Trials of the Nine in such a specific way. So, for example, let me break that up into very small bite-sized chunks for you. If you are a Destiny veteran, you would have known of Trials of the Nine. Trials of the Nine was a test that the Nine wanted to put forward for us so that they can test how good we are in combat against each other, how we are in real-time combat against real people. That was their test for us to test our strength. Shortly after that, obviously, we had the game show with the Jovian, with Xur. The whole point of the game show is to test how well we work as a team and how well we work with coming to a conclusion of making a decision to make. That's why throughout each encounter of that game show, we're having to make guesses. We're having to work as a team as to what the correct answer is. That was the Nine's way of testing how good we are at working as a team. And now you've got Rights of the Nine, which is challenging us on how we can solve puzzles. So we're not necessarily making a decision on how best we can come to the correct answer. It comes down to team play, how we can correctly work together on solving the overall puzzle to get to the final conclusion in kind of like a PvE environment, if I'm talking from a gamer perspective. So the Nine are constantly testing us in all of these various ways, and the way that they're inviting us to do that so they don't have to directly communicate with us, because they can't. Keep in mind, they're dark matter, which by the way, we knew that for years, but obviously Bungie just confirmed that in their live stream recently. They did that through Orin. They did that through the emissary. So when you kind of put that into perspective, and when you kind of understand how deep the Nine actually go, we're talking years and years and years of stuff, basically, if I'm putting it in such a basic term. So the fact that Orin has just broken out of this eggshell that is the emissary, that is huge. You're talking about a character which was created from a paracausal entity completely made out of dark matter, and Orin was just able to overthrow that. Now, if you look at the armor that she's wearing, she is also wearing the Queensguard armor. The reason why this is important is because back in Season of the Drifter, this is also the same armor that she wore back then. Obviously, it is slightly updated now because she's got the 9 hood, which I really love, by the way. I absolutely love this hoodie, which is actually why I owned one in real life. The moment the Prophecy Dungeon came out and me and Max completed that for the first time, I bought that hoodie, I pre-ordered that hoodie, and I've got it here right now, and I absolutely love it. Guys, if you haven't followed me on Twitter just yet, go and follow me on Twitter, because I actually posted a picture of it saying I am ready for when the live stream went live. But yeah, I think it looks sick. And by the way, I also want to encourage the transmog of Titans having cloaks, because let's be honest, Titans having cloaks look much better than vile little hunters having cloaks. You have Lord Saladin that has been repping one ever since D1 and looks absolutely incredible. You now have one with the Darth Vader transmog as well, which I'll admit it does look really cool. And now we've got Orin wearing one right now, which is 9 themed, which looks absolutely 10 out of 10. It's probably the best one that I've seen so far. I just wanted to talk, I say very briefly, I've probably spoken a long time now about this, but there is so much more to this character that I just cannot cram into this breakdown video, and I know that Bife is going to be an absolutely fantastic source to go to when it comes to finding out lore about this character, because it really does go very deep, guys. I actually do know that Bife is working on quite a huge lengthy video which is all about the 9, which I know 100% sure is going to involve Orin here. I know it's going to speak about the Jovians and their species as well, so stay tuned for Bife's video and check that out, because he's obviously going to go into it in much greater detail than what I am. But yeah, I could just talk for ages about this character because I just know so much about it and I love it. But yeah, anyway, moving on from that, hopefully that did help you find out more information about Orin and gave you some useful information there. But if we just move on with the trader breakdown, you can tell she takes that deep breath. There she is. She's like, whoa, I'm out, I'm free. And then we've got the Guardian ship flying in the background as we get closer to Kepler there. And I'm just going to pause it at the end here because we also see... Oh, wait, is it this trailer? It might be this trailer. No, it's not. It's not this trailer. Okay, fine. I was going to say they've updated it to say Chicago in the top as well. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. What did you think of this cinematic trailer? Did you learn anything from this one that I've made you guys? Let me know if you know anything about Orin that you want to share it in the comments as well, because I love this character. Aside from Fellwinter, this is definitely one of my top favorite characters of all time, purely just based on the lore. So yeah, guys, I thank you so much for your time. Hit that subscribe button for more Destiny 2 content, and I will see you in whichever video I next make. Guys, thank you so much, and take care.